If you're a BMW fan and you're thinking of diving into the world of electric vehicles, then you're in luck. BMW has just launched 3 new EVs in Australia, but it's this one that's causing a commotion. This is the iX pure electric SUV, and it's going to be sold alongside the i4 4-door sedan and the iX3 SUV, which confusingly is similar in size and intent to this. The iX is built on a dedicated all-electric architecture, and it has a much more daring design than the iX3. And BMW reckons it's the pinnacle of its tech and electrification capabilities. Now, there's a lot to get through with this car, so we're going to just jump right in. But before we do, there are time codes down here where you can skip ahead and go to different chapters if you like. If you're watching it on YouTube, down here there are also time codes where you can jump to a particular section, or you can just watch the whole thing. If you want to stay on top of our upcoming videos, make sure you subscribe to the CarsGuide YouTube channel and hit that bell icon so you get notified every time they're uploaded. BMW is offering 2 powertrains across 3 iX model grades from launch in Australia. The range kicks off with the xDrive 40 from $135,900. The xDrive 40 Sport, which adds a few more goodies, is $141,900, and the xDrive 50 Sport costs $169,900, all before on-road costs. In the middle of the year, BMW will add the insanely powerful M60 performance flagship to the iX range. We drove the iX xDrive 50, which we'll go into detail about later in the drive impressions. BMW is not skimping on standard gear with the iX, which is a good thing given it's priced well into 6-figure territory. The xDrive 50 Sport we're in has cool features like a panoramic sunroof, adaptive air suspension, soft closed doors, 22-inch wheels and a 4-wheel steering system. You can read all the inclusions across the different variants in my written review, but just keep in mind that BMW's pricing for the iX range undercuts the Tesla Model X, but it lines up very closely to the similarly sized Audi e-tron SUV and the Jaguar I-Pace. Specification-wise, the Jaguar has the other models beat, but not by a massive margin. For BMW's first serious attempt at a standalone EV since the wonderful but wildly impractical i3 City Hatch, the iX did have to stand out. And stand out it does. It's fair to say there's been quite a lot of healthy debate among the CarsGuide team about the design of this car. A lot of people don't like it, I love it. I'm firmly in the yes camp. Up front, you've got BMW's signature quad headlights, but in a very modern kind of take on that. They are slimlined. In fact, BMW says these are the narrowest headlights the company has ever produced. Over here, between those headlights, of course, we have what is probably the most polarising design element of the iX, that big toothy grille. No Bugs Bunny jokes, please. Now, it's an EV, so it doesn't really need a grille, but this hides a lot of the driver assist aids and things like that. On the side here, you've got big air intakes that flow all the way back to the 22-inch wheels. At the side, the door handles are flush with the door panels. They're a little bit different to the kind of door handles you see on a Tesla or a Jaguar I-Pace, in that they don't just pop out when you come near it. You simply slip your hand under and open it that way. And then when you open the door, you see the lovely frameless windows. Now, this is an EV, batteries are very heavy. BMW's tried as best it can to keep weight down, and by doing that, the body of the iX is made from high-strength steel, aluminium and carbon, which is visible here on the frame. Some people don't really like the fact you can see it, but I think it looks really cool. At the rear, there is this nice little design element that's a nod to BMW's i brand heritage. This was also on the C-pillar of the i3. Around here, as you can see, these taillights are just as slimline as the headlights at the front, and there's some other nice elements going on at the back. And you can also see the wide shoulder line that gives a real feeling of width to this car. The iX is larger in size than the iX3, which is based on the regular X3. In fact, it's closer in size to the X5 large SUV. And in some dimensions, this thing is bigger than its Audi e-tron competitor. We'll go into more detail on the interior shortly, but purely focusing on the design, BMW has taken a minimalist approach while incorporating angular elements to the dash. It's ultra-modern, very sophisticated, and perfect for a high-tech premium EV. The perforated leather seats look stunning, and there's a striking ambience to the cabin. BMW is talking up the sustainability factor with the iX. It features headlining and floor mats made from recycled fishing nets, eco-friendly wood elements, and the leather is tanned with olive leaf extracts and other natural materials. To top it off, the iX is built at BMW's Dingolfing factory in Germany using 100% renewable energy. One of the Teslaisms of the iX is a little door opening button over here. Well, they're on all of the doors, of course, which works well. And if the worst case scenario happens and all of the electrics die in this vehicle, you can just reach down here to the lower part of the door where there is a traditional door handle. Now, the dash is quite angular, but it's also very minimalist in design. There's barely any buttons. In fact, the only buttons are over here for the lights and the front and rear windscreen demisters. It makes for a very kind of clean look. The steering wheel is a lovely little flat-bottomed number, and it's a two-spoke wheel, which is also quite reminiscent of the i3. The iX also has some quite glamorous-looking crystal-like elements for the seat adjustment. You've also got it for the gear shifter, the iDrive controller, volume, and more, and it gives off a bit of a shimmery gold colour depending on the light. You know, it's about personal taste. Some people might like it. It's a bit blingy, but let's go with it. These seats are incredible. They're so plush, they're incredibly comfortable, but they also offer decent support. They also have a massage function as well. And then on either side, you've got quite chunky armrests, which come in handy when you're having that massage. Storage-wise, a large bottle will fit in the door, and there's plenty of space here as well for other items in the cavity, which is great. The central bin here isn't massive, it's not small, but it's got a handy little tray at the top that will fit an iPhone perfectly. The glove box is not so large. You can pretty much just fit the quite chunky manual in there, and that's about it. I really like this. So it's a split console basically, and at the top you've got all the controls and that kind of thing. You can even fit a little phone in there, which is very handy. And then underneath you've got the phone charger, but that's quite a big tray there, so you can fit other items if you're not charging your phone, obviously. You've got two USB-C ports, a 12-volt outlet, and two quite decent sized cup holders as well. And you can, as you can see, you can still fit a bottle in without hitting the top of the console there. The iX has a panoramic glass sunroof, and unlike a lot of vehicles, it doesn't have a material shade or a solid blind or anything like that. It's got an electrochromatic shade function that operates up here. Once you press that, that blocks out all of the UV rays as well as the heat. Now, I was quite skeptical about this function because we live in Australia and the sun is very, very hot, but I've been driving around in this thing all week and I haven't noticed any heat coming into the vehicle at all. So it's done a really good job and better than some of those flimsy material shades you find on other vehicles. BMW's iDrive 8 multimedia system takes quite a while to get your head around. BMW uses something called Shy Tech, which sounds like a very quiet computer programmer, but it's actually a philosophy around technical design where a lot of features are hidden or integrated because they don't want to overwhelm the driver while they're driving with all of the functions that are in this system. I think it's a great idea in theory, but in practice it does mean you have to dig in and kind of find some of the functions. If you do end up buying an iX, don't worry, the dealer staff will take you through all of this in detail. It has a touchscreen, but you can also select items via the iDrive controller. It features the BMW personal assistant that uses voice recognition for certain commands. It also has gesture control for answering or rejecting phone calls and volume control. Climate menu is always accessible from the bottom of the screen, and the home screen has customizable tiles for functions like vehicle information, weather, media and more. Then the menu icon houses all of the apps you could ever want or need. We connected the wireless Apple CarPlay without fault. BMW ID uses a login where you can set up your personal preferences for the car, and the related app allows you to remotely see the current range of the car. You can also remotely lock or unlock the car, set air conditioning, use the horn, and you can check the vehicle's cameras, similar to Tesla's Sentry function. SatNav is clear and clever, and it can be displayed on the fully digital instrument cluster, which is also customizable. And the head-up display is clear and not distracting. The iX is a 5-seat only vehicle. There is no 7-seat option. There are, if you've got kids, ISOFIX points on the 2 outboard seats and top tether points as well. Now, the rear seats are beautifully sumptuous, incredibly comfortable, and would be perfect on a long road trip. I also really like how they've extended the leather all the way to the C-pillar here, so you don't get any nasty plastics or anything like that. It's all very luxurious. There's more interior room in here than there is in an X5, and as a result, there is so much space. I've got heaps of leg room behind my 183 centimetre driving position. There's quite a bit of tow room as well, and there's acres of headroom too, so there's no worry about space. Interestingly, being an EV, there's no transmission tunnel, so it's quite a flat floor back here. And what BMW has done is actually scalloped out some space from the centre console to give the middle passenger quite a bit of room. Now, that's quite rare, and this makes this car a really usable 5-seat vehicle. There is a fold-down armrest in the centre, and you've got a little pop-out situation here with adjustable cup holders, which is very handy. You've also got your own climate controls back here, which is very useful, and there's no shortage of air vents. You've got them here on the pillars, so chest level, you've got knee level ones down here on the back of the console, and you've got floor vents as well. It's fantastic on that front. You've also got a couple of map pockets. There are 2 USB-C ports on the back of each chair, so 4 all up, as well as a little slot here to clip in entertainment screens if you so desire. There's lots of coat hooks as well, and there's plenty of space as well in the doors for big bottles. The iX boot is 500 litres with all seats in place. That increases to 1,750 litres when you fold the second row down. That's not a bad size by any stretch, but it can't quite match the Audi e-tron, which can swallow 660 litres. Now you can open the boot with a kick motion. It's automatic, of course. It's nicely carpeted. There's many hooks in here and a 12-volt outlet. There's quite good lighting as well. The second row seats fold down either 60-40 or 40-20-40, depending on what you want, and they can fold down with a little lever here in the boot, and there's also a lever next to the seats inside. Now, under boot storage, there is a little bit, but it's taken up mostly by the 2 charging cables that come free with the car. Unfortunately, with so much space taken up by batteries and cables, there's no room left for a spare wheel, so it's worth keeping that in mind. Now, I'd love to tell you what's under the bonnet of the iX, but unfortunately I can't, and that's because you can't open it. In fact, the only people that can open it are qualified BMW technicians. That also means that there is no front cargo space under here like you find in a lot of other EVs. What we can tell you is that the iX is a full battery electric powertrain, and it comes for now in 2 tunes. All iX variants have 2 motors, one on each axle, which ensures on-demand all-wheel drive traction via a single-speed transmission that's typical of an EV. The system is paired with a high-voltage lithium-ion battery pack that's housed under the floor. The xDrive 40 and 40 Sport deliver a combined power and torque output of 240 kilowatts and 630 newton meters, ensuring a 0 to 100 km/h dash time of 6.1 seconds. The xDrive 50 Sport pumps out an even beefier 385 kilowatts and 765 newton meters, and it does the 0 to 100 km/h dash in a very brisk 4.6 seconds. Of course, all of these outputs will be blown out of the water when the monstrous 455 kilowatt, 1100 Newton metre iX M60 arrives mid-year. Most EVs have very quick acceleration and the iX is no exception. And in the xDrive 50 we're driving here, when you put the foot down, you go right back into the seat. It's quite exhilarating, and it will also ensure that you get the jump on your rivals at the traffic lights. There's no tyre squeal or anything like that on takeoff, but occasionally when you accelerate from a standing start, there is a bit of a jolty kind of feeling. But that's just about moderating the throttle and learning how this car works. It just delivers the power and torque flawlessly. And even when you get to quite steep hills, there's no blunting the performance of this car. It just keeps going and going. The battery's placement under the floor makes for low centre of gravity and even weight distribution. Now, the iX weighs about 2.5 tonnes, and sometimes on the road you can feel that heft. It can be a little bit top heavy in corners, but in saying that, if you find a nice winding stretch of road, it really comes alive. Steering response is excellent, and it's weighted a little bit on the heavy side. If you flick across to sport mode, everything sharpens up. The steering gets a little heavier, the throttle response gets a little bit sharper, and the ride certainly gets firmer. Even BMW's synthetic EV sound, which is quite cool as it is, has a little bit of a growl to it in sport mode. The brakes are a little slow to respond, but that could be the regenerative braking. The iX has adaptive regenerative braking as the default setting in drive. The system uses the navigation and sensors to detect vehicles and intersections and automatically slow down using the regen braking. It's very clever, but it does take some adjusting to. It also has full regeneration in B mode via the gear shifter. The ride quality of the iX is really impressive. It feels settled on a variety of different surfaces. Even things like speed bumps or quite deep ruts, you just don't feel it. It's got a really, really plush ride, to the point where you actually don't even feel any vibration through the steering wheel. It's all very comfortable. It has a pretty big turning circle, so it's not super easy to maneuver in tight streets, but the cabin is incredibly hushed. BMW's done an exceptional job of noise suppression, adding to the feeling of luxury. The xDrive 40 has a 77 kilowatt-hour battery, which ensures a WLTP driving range of 425 kilometres. Stepping up to the xDrive 50 bumps battery capacity to 112 kilowatt-hours, and the driving range extends to 630 kilometres. The combined energy consumption for the xDrive 40 is 22.5 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometres and 23 kilowatt-hours for the xDrive 50. After a week of mixed driving, we noted a consumption figure of 24 kilowatt-hours. When it comes time to charge the iX, you can do that a few ways. BMW includes 2 free charging cables with the iX, one for domestic and one for public charging. And the iX has a Type 2 and Type 2 CCS plug for charging. There is one charging port on the driver's side of the vehicle. You can plug it into a regular household power point, and that will take 44 hours to charge from 0 to 100% for the xDrive 40 and 66 hours for the xDrive 50. If you're using an 11 kilowatt 3-phase AC wall box in your home, the xDrive 40 will be charged from nothing to full capacity in 8 hours, and the xDrive 50 is done in 11 hours. BMW is offering all iX customers a free 5-year subscription to the ChargeFox public charging network. That means 5 years of unlimited charging using a 50 kilowatt fast charger or a 350 kilowatt ultra rapid charger. Now, the iX xDrive 40 can get from 10 to 80% battery capacity in 31 minutes using a fast charger, and the xDrive 50 Sport can do the same in 35 minutes. BMW claims that the new iX features the most extensive suite of driver assist systems of any BMW model ever made. One of the highlights is the traffic, cyclist and pedestrian detection when turning as part of the front collision system. The iX was awarded a 5-star ANCAP crash safety rating under the stringent 2020 to 2022 protocols. For more detail on the safety features and how they function, check out the review at the CarsGuide website. The iX is covered by BMW's 3-year unlimited kilometre factory warranty. This is not as extensive as other premium brands that have moved to a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty like Audi, Mercedes-Benz, Lexus and more. The battery is covered by an 8-year 160,000 kilometre warranty, and the iX also comes with 8 years of complimentary roadside assistance. BMW doesn't have scheduled servicing for its vehicles. Instead, it uses a condition-based model, and that's when the vehicle's computer will tell you when it's time to book in for a service. BMW offers iX buyers servicing packages starting at $1,520 for 4 years and $2,195 for 6 years. What a week it's been with the BMW iX. There's so much tech to wrap your head around, but this is a deeply impressive car from BMW. Yes, it's very expensive, especially the xDrive 50 we've driven here at $170,000. But that price is matched by an exquisite interior, incredible onboard tech, and very, very good safety tech as well. Throw in the fact that it's got a genuinely enjoyable drive experience and good real-world driving range, and this vehicle is hard to beat against competitors like Tesla, Audi, Mercedes-Benz, and the rest. Even if you're not sold on the design, that opinion might change when you get behind the wheel. Don't forget to check out my full written review at carsguide.com.au and subscribe to stay up to date with all of our latest videos.